In the heart of the land where the morning sun first kisses the earth, there is a place called Umuchi. Umuchi is not a large place. The road into it is not paved with stone or tar, but with the dust of red earth that clings to your sandals and stains your clothes. At dawn, the roosters announce the day long before the sun arrives. Women can be heard pounding yam in wooden mortar, the sound carrying like a heartbeat through the morning mist. The scent of cooking fires, dry wood and palm oil rises into the air. Men sharpen their cutlasses for the farm. Children run barefoot, chasing each other, their laughter mingling with the bleating of goats. And in the center of this village, under the giant udala tree where elders meet to talk, there is always talk. Talk about harvests. Talk about neighbors. And yes, talk about people. Here is Christopher, the poor man. Among the names often carried by these conversations is the name Christopher. When people say it, it is almost always followed by a sigh. Ah, that poor man Christopher. May God help him. Christopher is not a bad man. No one would say that, but his life. Oh, his life is painted with the color of black. His hut sits at the very edge of Umuchi, where the tall elephant grass begins and the bush swallows the path. Its walls are of old mud, cracked in places. The roof is patched with pieces of rusted tin that clang when the wind blows. His bed is nothing more than bamboo poles tied together, with a thin raffia mat that has seen better years. His clothes are faded, his slippers worn thin. Some days he eats twice, some days once, and on the hardest days, not at all. But if you speak to anyone in Umuchi, even the ones who laugh at his poverty, they will tell you the same thing. Christopher has a good heart. Every market day, the people of Umuchi travel to the trading center 2 miles away. They carry baskets of cassava, yams, palm oil, and dried fish. The road to the market is always busy. Traders calling, women laughing, children singing. And there, at the same place along the road, always sits a woman. Her name is Elizabeth. Elizabeth does not walk. Her legs are thin and twisted beneath her wrapper, lifeless since the day of her accident. To move, she drags herself with her hands, her palms hardened like the soles of the feet she cannot use. Beside her is a small wooden bowl. In that bowl, people drop coins, cowries, and sometimes small gifts of food. And as they pass, Elizabeth sings. Her voice. Ah, her voice is the kind that can make you stop without realizing why. It is not loud, but it is deep and sweet, soaked with sorrow and hope at the same time. When she sings, even the wind seems to slow to listen. Every time Christopher passes, he stops. Even if he has nothing but a single coin, he will drop it in her bowl. Good afternoon, Elizabeth, he says with a smile that is small but genuine. Ah, Christopher. She replies, her eyes softening. Good afternoon, sir. May God bless you. And every time he walks away, something in his chest feels heavy, but also warm. Heavy because he wishes he could do more. Warm because he has done what he could. Kindness is not measured by the weight of the gift, but by the weight of the heart that gives it. One afternoon, as Christopher walked past the udala tree, he overheard voices. It was Mama Rita, the village gossip, speaking to 2 other women. That Christopher. Always giving to that crippled girl, she said. Another replied, and he has nothing himself. Maybe he is hoping she will marry him. The third laughed. Marry, a cripple, and a poor man. What will they eat? Sand. Christopher walked past without a word. But inside, he thought, if only they knew. If only they could feel what I feel whenever I see her. It was a Thursday market day. The air was heavy. The kind of air that makes the clouds hang low as if watching the earth closely. Christopher had risen early. His plan simple, walk to the market, sell the little cassava he had, buy salt and palm oil. His sandals, worn and nearly breaking, slapped against the dust with each step. As he drew closer to the usual bend in the road, he heard it. Elizabeth's voice. But today it was different. It was softer, lower, almost as if each word she sang was carrying the weight of a stone. O merciful God, O healer of wounds, remember the feet that cannot walk. The words entered Christopher's ears, but they settled somewhere deeper. In his bones, in his spirit, he stopped, watched her. Her head was bowed, her hands resting on the rim of her begging bowl. People passed by, some dropping coins without looking, others avoiding her eyes. Christopher felt his steps carry him forward without thinking. He reached into his small bag and brought out a single coin. The only one he had before the market. "Elizabeth," he said softly. Her head lifted, her eyes met his, and in them, he saw something, not just sorrow, but a quiet strength. "Christopher," she said, her lips twitching into a faint smile. "You have nothing, yet you give. Why?" It is a question the world has asked of the kind since the beginning of time. Why give, when you have nothing to spare? Christopher looked away for a moment, then back at her. "Because, Elizabeth, sometimes it is not about having enough. Sometimes it is about knowing what it feels like to lack, and not wanting another person to feel that way." Even for one more moment, she was silent. The market noise faded in the background, as if the world had taken a step back to let them speak. Christopher had seen her many times, but had never asked the question that burned in his mind. Today, something in him pushed the words out. "Elizabeth, what happened to your legs?" She looked down at them. The thin, twisted limbs hidden under her wrapper, her hands clutched the edge of her bowl. "It was 6 years ago," she began slowly. "I was coming back from the forest. I had gone to gather firewood. My back was heavy with it, but I was happy. Because that day I knew I would cook enough food to eat and still have some to share with my younger cousin." Her voice faltered. Christopher waited. Then, I heard shouting. A trader's cart had lost control on the slope. It rolled toward me. I tried to move, but before I could, she stopped. Her eyes glistened with the water of unshed tears. Before I could. The cart crushed my legs. I woke up in pain. The healer said I would never walk again. Christopher felt a lump in his throat. "And your family?" Christopher asked her. "At first, they stayed. But feeding me was hard. Carrying me was harder. Slowly, they stopped coming. One day, they simply didn't return." Silence sat between them like a third person. Some wounds are not only of the body, but of the heart. Before I continue, please support my YouTube channel at MyAfricastory. And subscribe to encourage me do more, like and share too. Christopher straightened his back. His voice was quiet but firm. "Elizabeth, I want you to be my wife." Her eyes widened. "What, Christopher? You are as poor as I am. You have no farm, no goats, no savings." "I know," Christopher said, "but I have something else. My father was a herbalist. I know the old ways. I will find the cure for your legs. And you will walk again." She stared at him. Her lips parted as if to speak, then closed again. "Finally," she whispered, "and if you fail, then I will still marry you," Christopher said. "And we will live, even if we crawl together." For a long time, she did not answer. Then slowly, she nodded. "Christopher, if you can give me back my legs, I will be your wife," she said. Love does not always grow in the gardens of riches. Sometimes, it sprouts in the dust of poverty, watered by the tears of two people who understand each other's pain. That night, Christopher lay on his bamboo bed, staring at the flickering flame of his oil lamp. He remembered his father's voice, deep, steady, and wise. "Christopher, every leaf in the forest has a spirit, every root has a story. But there is one vine, the vine of renewal. If tied above a doorway, it can give new life to the crippled. But remember, it is not just a medicine, it is a bond of life." The memory settled in his mind like a seed taking root. Christopher knew what he had to do. He would go into the deepest part of the forest. He would find the vine. He would bring Elizabeth home, walking on her own 2 feet. When the heart finds a reason, even the poorest man becomes a warrior. The first cock crow had barely echoed through the village when Christopher was already awake. He did not sleep much that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Elizabeth's face. Those eyes that carried both strength and sadness, and the faintest spark of hope she had tried to hide. Christopher rose from his mat slowly, not to wake the quiet morning. He washed his face in a small calabash of cold water, the chill jolting him fully awake. Then he knelt before the small clay pot that held the ashes of his late father's shrine. "Father," he whispered, his voice trembling slightly, "I go now to seek the vine you once told me of. Guide my feet, guard my steps, let my hands not fail." He tied his old cutlass to his waist, slung a small raffia bag over his shoulder with dried cassava and roasted ground nuts, and stepped outside. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of dew and fresh earth. A thin mist rolled along the village paths, wrapping the huts in a soft veil. Somewhere, a woman was already pounding yam. Somewhere else, a baby cried. When a man walks toward his destiny, even the smallest sound feels different. Every step is heavy, yet filled with purpose. The entrance to the great Umuchi forest was a place most villagers avoided, unless they had to fetch firewood or hunt. Tall trees stood like ancient guards, their branches weaving together into a green roof that hid the sky. The sound of the market faded behind Christopher, replaced by the calls of unseen birds and the occasional rustle in the undergrowth. He stepped under the shade of the first giant tree. The light dimmed. The air grew cooler. The ground beneath his feet softened with fallen leaves. It will be a long walk, he told himself. I must be ready. The forest floor was tangled with roots that rose like the backs of sleeping snakes. Christopher moved carefully, using his cutlass to push aside stubborn branches and vines. As he walked, memories of his father teaching him about plants came back. Look at the leaves, Christopher. The plant will tell you what it is if you listen with your eyes. Some plants heal, some harm, and some do both, depending on how you use them. Christopher examined every vine he saw, but none matched his father's description. By midday, sweat clung to his skin, and his legs ached. He sat by a small stream to rest. The water was clear, tumbling over smooth stones. He cupped his hands and drank, feeling the cool liquid run down his throat like a blessing. For you, Elizabeth, he murmured. Every step is for you.